Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show Wednesday edition, where we focus on governance, policy and politics. I'm Patrick Soko, and later on I'll be with my co-host Sharon Kalimbula, where we'll continue discussing governance issues. And right now we'll go straight into our first segment we call the Health Corner with Dr. Mufaya, so that we can get to hear what she has prepared for us in terms of health and our well-being. Keep it on Camnet.
Hi, and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this week we are talking about breast cancer, and yesterday we talked about some of the risk factors of breast cancer. We say that people who have breast cancer would have certain risk factors, and these risk factors include being able to start your periods very early before the age of 12, and also if you start your menopause late after the age of 55, you are increasing your risk of having breast cancer. Also, if people are exposed to radiation, they're also increasing their risk of breast cancer. Smoking and taking alcohol can also increase your risk of breast cancer, and even being obese and overweight and not exercising. So today I want to understand what are some of the signs and symptoms. How can you know that you are developing breast cancer or that you are having breast cancer? Or how can you be able to tell that these are some of the things that I'm experiencing that might likely be cancer? So one of the things is that you'll be able to notice a change or changes in your breast. So it can just be one breast or both breasts, but most of the times it's usually one breast. So you would find that one breast is bigger than the other breast, and sometimes you might even feel a lump or a mass inside the breast. So you might feel something inside the breast. And then other times you might also experience some changes in the skin on the breast. So you might see some discoloration or some changes that we peel d'orange, which looks like an orange peel. So you might notice that the breast looks like an orange peel, and that's one of the signs that you might be having a breast cancer. The other thing is that you might notice a nipple discharge. So you might find that your nipples are producing a certain fluid. Most of the time it has some blood in it. So if you notice any kind of discharge in your breast, most of the times only on the affected breast or on one breast, and you would find that it has some blood inside. And so those are some of the risk factors that you need to look out for people who have breast cancer. So today we're talking about the signs and symptoms of breast cancer, and we've said that some of the signs and symptoms include having a difference in size of the breast, and so you would find that one breast is bigger than the other, and then you would be able to feel a mass or a lump inside the breast. The other thing is that you might see some discoloration on the breast. You can see, sometimes it looks like an orange peel, which we call peel d'orange, and sometimes it just looks like a certain discoloration. So you should be able to look out for some of these signs. The other thing is that you might have a nipple discharge. It might be a bloody discharge most of the times. So these are some of the signs or some of the things that you need to look out for to be able to tell if you have breast cancer or not. If you notice any of these things, make sure that you go to the hospital to get checked, and make sure that you seek treatment early. And so tomorrow we'll be discussing how is a breast cancer diagnosed in the hospital, and what are some of the treatment options. What options do you have for treatment or for the treatment of breast cancer? So make sure you watch again tomorrow. We'll be talking about the diagnosis and treatment of breast cancer. I do hope you have learned something today, and if you have missed any other episodes, make sure you watch my YouTube channel, where you'll be able to find all the things that we talk about here on the Health Corner. Make sure that you stay healthy and stay blessed. I'll see you again tomorrow.
There you have it. That was the Health Corner with Dr. Mufaya. I hope you managed to learn one or two things. They are quite an interesting topic, talking about breast cancer. It is a common cancer, and I hope you managed to understand the signs and the symptoms of breast cancer there. It's manageable if detected early. It is important that you always go for breast cancer screening to avoid being found being discovered at the late stage, which they usually call it fourth stage of cancer, which is usually it is irreversible. So it is important that you are just proactive, like Sharon Karimbula would say. What should you say about it?
What am I supposed to say, Patrick? We talk about a lot of things. So
Breast cancer. Have you been to the hospital for breast cancer screening?
Yes, I have. I have.
Are you just saying for the sake of saying?
No, I have, Patrick. Very good morning to you, our viewers. Thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. Indeed, it is the breakfast show, and we are discussing various issues regarding the economy and politics, among other issues affecting our country. And we just looked at the health corner, where the doctor there, Dr. Mufai, was talking about signs of breast cancer. So it is important that you out there, especially women, go and get tested. Remember, Patrick, breast cancer does not only affect women, it also does affect males, very minimal though, a meager number to say the least, but it's also important to go and check. I can only imagine, Patrick, you having
what's your problem?
The way you know me, obviously you even know where I've reached in terms of thinking on these things.
It's early.
So yes, it's too early, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, let's look at how the kwacha is faring against the major comparables. The United States, wow, the Great British Pound is buying at 25 kwacha, 23 ngwe, and selling at 25 kwacha, 73 ngwe. The United States dollars is at 20 kwacha, 6 ngwe, and selling at 21 kwacha, 03 ngwe. The euro is at 22 kwacha, 24 ngwe, and selling at 22 kwacha, 67 ngwe. While the South African rand is at 1 kwacha, 11 ngwe, and selling at 1 kwacha, 14 ngwe. Those are your money markets. Patrick, look at the dollar, man.
Yeah, it is even going to 21. That's going to 21.
I want to understand, if I go and change the dollar, what is that? That is
you
selling.
have more kwacha, yes.
So it's at 21 kwacha.
you have more kwacha. You have more money in terms of kwacha form.
And then when I'm buying from the bank, like that's
you have
the
to
buying
spend
rate.
more. You have to spend more.
I better go before it.
Yeah, so those who have been there, those who have been having some dollars now, this is their time. They are enjoying.
This is your time. This is your time to enjoy and do what you're supposed to do with those monies.
Yeah, but ultimately, it is not a good. It is not a good indicator for the economy. Yeah, because it shows that our currency is not performing okay. It's also a reflection of how the economy, the Zambian economy, is poorly performing at the moment.
Indeed, Patrick, we surely hope that those economists that are always giving us analysis in terms of how we can stabilize the kwacha are analyzing these things, analyzing the chains, giving advice to the relevant officers, and seeing to it that it stabilizes. I don't think we need to go beyond this 21 threshold. I think it's too much.
Yeah, I think some of the economists who have spoken to have always pointed out to the issue of how the kwacha. They're saying that for us in order to strengthen the kwacha, we need to maximize exports. But however, they are also suggesting that Zambia exports quite a lot, and that not all exports are declared. But if we manage to be declaring all the exports and make sure that the foreign exchange is being used to put to better use, we can make a lot of progress in terms of stabilizing the economy and the kwacha itself. Overall, economists are talking about the issue of strengthening and making sure that the kwacha is stronger. So these two aspects need to be looked at critically. And the finance minister, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, did allude to the fact that the kwacha has been underperforming on account also of the issue of the pending debt restructuring process. This is because there has been laxity in terms of the debt, the people who owe debt coming on the table. So now what is happening is that those who are supposed to be buying the treasury bonds they are not investing in our bonds because our bonds are no longer lucrative, and they fear that they may be subject to the issue of debt restructuring. So the finance minister did indicate that overall it has affected even how the bonds are performing. So now this is quite an interesting aspect in terms of how are we going to get through this difficult process. I think that's why we have leaders in place to think, because they are equally employed to think.
To think and make things work.
Yeah, and find solution to these problems, and I hope they do that as soon as possible.
Indeed, Patrick, and we've always talked about the manufacturing sector exporting more, but these are not measures that can be done overnight. These are plans, really, that will take a bit of time for them to be actualized. But then we need to think about the immediate solutions that can stabilize our currency, compete favorably with the US dollar, especially because that's what we use as a yardstick to see how strong or weak our currency is. And we talked about a lot of things really with these economists and how this can be actualized. I just wonder if at all those that are supposed to implement do have ears, or maybe their ears are clogged, they don't listen, or is it because these solutions that are being offered are unrealistic?
So largely, if you observe, the Zambian economy has huge potential, but how long are we going to be talking about potential?
Potential.
So if you look at
Zambia,
at
it's
Zambia,
as good as you proposing a woman and you expect her to accept you because you have potential. Because you have potential, Patrick. We're not going to do that as women anymore. We're not marrying potential.
You just want to
what we are seeing.
A complete product.
Exactly.
You don't want a potential product.
A complete package. We're not going to be nurturing that potential, and then when it booms, you know, it
goes elsewhere.
It goes elsewhere where they need a full package while you were nurturing the potential. We don't need that.
Yeah, interesting. Because you see, for me, I describe the Zambian economy as a retail for South Africa or other countries that are manufacturing at a huge or high level. Because if you see, most of our chain stores are littered with foreign products. So it means that they have a base on what to sell their products, which is Zambia. So now this Zambia now continues to we are now turning into a consumptive economy where we are just consuming and we are not generating. So we are manufacturing to a certain extent with some major, one of the manufacturing firms that is too big, and a few companies here and there, and largely our exports are dependent on traditional exports such as copper. So now if you look at us maximizing exports throughout, we're not doing that, and we have seen an emergence of Chinese-owned shops, indirectly Chinese-owned shops, in that they'll come in terms of Zambian names, but if you see the products that they are selling, they are coming direct from China, and these guys have established themselves and they have a market in Zambia. So you discover that most of the time, largely, we are spending our dollars to import products that can be consumed in this economy. So as opposed to us producing more and then exporting to other countries so that we can be earning their foreign exchange. Now that's where the difficult part is for the Zambian economy. And we are not seeing a lot of talk in terms of us industrializing, and we want to lead the industrialization agenda using the private sector. For me, I usually think this is not usually a best approach to go, but we need to do a mix arrangement. If you see countries like China that are here, most of those countries, those companies that are here, even in the construction sector, they are attacking the continent as state entities from China. Now we should also have state entities like the Zambia National Service, ZNS, attacking the Canadian to say we're going to build you a better road than your engineers can build. We can go to countries like Malawi and say, Malawi, ZNS, give us this contract.
Especially now.
Yes, give us this contract.
I mean,
we do it.
There's always an opportunity under this destruction, under this bad situations. Remember the COVID times, the way people maximized and made money out of that bad situation that most of the countries are experiencing, Zambia inclusive. Equally, I think we can go to Malawi as a country and offer them what we can offer.
Yes.
And maximize on the situation.
Exactly. But you see, us, we don't do that. You see.
We don't do that. We always wait. Equally, Patrick, also the same manufacturing sector that we have at a minimal level is highly dependent on imported products to finish them.
Exactly.
So it's very unlikely that we have to export those things. Because one, the byproducts that we use to manufacture whatever we are manufacturing
are usually imported.
We get them probably from China, we get them from South Africa, we get them from other countries that are high in terms of manufacturing, We bring them in the country. So there's no way we bring them. Of course it happens, but if a country is at that level of manufacturing your byproducts,
yes,
then I don't think it really needs your finished product.
You are right.
Because they're supplying you with the byproduct.
Yes, so they can do it in their own country.
It's only us who get back the copper that we give them. They go and process it, then they bring it back to us.
Yes, in finished form.
Which is a sad situation, Patrick. Yeah, so that is briefly about how our culture is faring against the major comparables. We surely hope that things will be put in place and ensure that it stabilizes against the major convertibles. It becomes very expensive, Patrick, to do business. In school, sometimes those are international students that pay in dollars, pounds, and other currencies. It's very pricey.
Interesting. So let's just zoom in this story where some expectant mothers have raised a concern over the delay of service delivery at the University Teaching Hospital. This came to light Tuesday during the visit by Minister of Health Sylvia Maseo at the hospital. The women lamented that they are forced to spend long hours at the hospital in order for them to be attended to. Meanwhile, the health ministers wondered why expecting mothers who are referred to UTH made to pay 300 kwacha. Let's get to zoom in this story. We'll be back on the other side.
They could not help but seize the opportunity of airing out their grievances over what they termed as poor service delivery at the University Teaching Hospital. Tuesday, some expectant mothers raised concern on various issues they were facing at the hospital each time they tried to seek a service. Among those, they lamented how they are forced to spend long hours at the hospital in order for them to be attended to. The other concern was that those referred to UTH are made to pay a 300 kwacha. This came to light during a visit the Health Minister Sylvia Maseo made at the hospital.
Yes, that is an example. Do you understand that it is some of these things that you people are fitting in that is killing the women? We are always telling women, go to the hospital, go to the nearest hospital. So if the nearest hospital, understand, I've come 6:30, what is the problem? Okay, let me explain. Yes, I think when they come. Can we just be quiet so that we learn? Can we have silence, please? Yes. Okay. When they come in the morning, they go to the antenatal hall, where some antenatal topics are taught. Then after the teaching, we start doing the blood pressure and the weight. Then they also has not been done on her. We want to use her as an example. So she has been seen. Yeah, she has been here since 7:30. Have you've been here since 7:30, Mama? 7:30. So Pema Buela from 7:30.
The hospital administration also seized the opportunity to inform the minister some of the challenges the hospital was facing. It was later established that the lack of human resources contribute to the delay of service complained by patients. The hospital administration further called on government to look into the issue by employing more health personnel.
Even the number of doctors are kind of outpaced. Maybe it's only this hospital because of the nature of its name that a lot of people just come. But truthfully speaking, we do have both in technical workforce, but also in non-technical workforce. For example,
I know myself that we can make the difference because the difference is not costly. The difference is very little. But because we are not focused in the manner we are responding to issues, we are not holistic enough. That's why we're just doing a bit here, and everything must wait for the minister to visit. That's not the way things should run. No. Things should run continuously. If the minister visits, it's a bonus. You know, it should be a bonus that the minister has visited.
Meanwhile, Global Cooperative Society has donated 100 baby blankets to the neonatal unit at UTH.
The Women and Newborn Hospital, UTH Neonatology Department, is a place of hope and healing, and we are honored to be able to contribute to the well-being of the young patients. Our commitment to improving the welfare of our people extends beyond this donation. We will continue to work with communities and organizations to identify areas where we can make a positive impact and contribute to the development of our country.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In developing countries like Zambia, old age is often viewed as a nightmare for many, as this means relying on home-based care from family members should one experience various ailments associated with old age, except for the few who can afford specialized care. At the moment, Zambia runs 2 homes of the aged under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services and is yet to make investments in nursing homes. This means that the aged, such as 75-year-old Dorothy Siloka of Kanyama Compound in Lusaka, can only depend on family members with little or no medical knowledge on how to deal with her conditions brought about by old age, such as dementia and arthritis. She narrates to Camnet News her daily challenges arising from these conditions, adding that medical personnel have advised home-based care as the woman has been in and out of Kanyama Hospital. The old woman states that she lives with her 51-year-old daughter who was recently widowed and depends on trading for survival. So ni mpavu chabe?
Mpavu na tupi ni mambea kulema maningi munga
Miss Loka adds that what makes her situation worse is that she has not been captured under the social cash transfer program after many years of attempting. Meanwhile, a medical doctor, Teddy Mulinga, observes that such incidents highlight the need for Zambia to invest in nursing homes to see to it that old people with various medical conditions receive specialized care. The woman hopes that her story will catch the attention of the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services and that she will finally be placed on the social cash transfer program. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Shalon Kalimbula. And in studio, we've been joined by our guests from Ubuntu Talks International. And I have with me Dr. Isaac Monzwe and Reverend Andrew Sakala to help us discuss various issues pertaining to Ubuntu Talks and the events that they will be having in Zambia. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Interesting. To just get started with our interview, first of all, we want to understand Ubuntu Talks. What do you do and what is your thrust? We start with Dr. Monzwe.
Thank you for the opportunity of having us.
Interesting.
I reside in the States, and several years ago we were looking at learning Zambian languages online, and realized that there was no access to Tonga, Lozi, Bemba, any language whatsoever.
Yes.
And so there's this, started doing some research, as to whether this was an anomaly tied to Zambia or it was a regional phenomenon. And it turns out that a lot of sub-Saharan African languages are not accessible to the global community. Right? So you have a lot of these language learning platforms where you have Spanish, Swahili, French, but then you say, can I learn Tonga in the United States? Absolutely not. Right? And so Ubuntu Talks started out as a platform to bridge the subcontinent with the global community by providing access to sub-Saharan African languages. And we do this through virtual instruction. So we have our instructors as natives who are teaching foreigners the African languages. But this extends beyond just one-on-one teaching. It also includes, we want to have Zambian languages in U.S. universities. We want to approach the gap between healthcare needs tied to language, tourism, and so it's multi-sector approach of addressing some of these gaps tied to language.
Interesting. Your perspective as well.
Yes, in fact, the need to show Africa in a better light is really also our concern. Because when you don't understand our culture, our languages, you won't really appreciate what you get when you come here. So really our target group is fourfold when we're talking about giving language learning to particularly the West and countries outside of Africa. We want to approach language learning to provide a service to missionaries. Missionaries, when they come into our region, let them have a working knowledge of the language, and so that they can communicate with people that they're going to minister to. And then secondly, it's for diaspora children. People have left the country, they've left our region for many years. Their children want to reconnect with their culture and their languages. And so we provide that platform for them. And then thirdly, we also target the academic community. The academic community, just like Isaac has just said here, they want to connect with Africa on an academic level in terms of languages. And so we provide that. And then fourthly, for the business community. People are coming into Africa investing either in farming or medical. So when they go to a place remote in Zambia, for example, and a doctor can't communicate to the locals in English, he can communicate in the language that the locals speak. So our platform provides for that, and that really just helps them to connect with us at a level at which they'll be effective in what they're doing.
Interesting.
What do you use to send this message across? Do you have applications? Do you have videos probably on YouTube or something like that? What platforms do you use to engage people on this?
So we do have a virtual platform and an app. We use Zoom technology as the interface, and so a lot of it is live instruction. So for instance, recently we trained a group of 7 missionaries who are headed to Malawi and Chichewa. And so the instructor is in Malawi. They log in at the same time, and we use virtual platforms. We have in-house developed curriculum. Some of these languages are not in written form, and so we do a lot of in-house curriculum development. And so it's a robust learning management system solution that we have, with cutting-edge technology, and so it just makes the process a lot easier. Some of the challenges that we initially had were technology on this side.
Yes.
And so, using solar technology, the right laptops, mobile devices. And so that was part of the piloting process, but I think we're up and running now.
How long have you been running?
We're going on to about 2 years now. I think about over a year or so was piloting, experimentation, curriculum development, but we're live in several different African countries.
Can you speak the local languages yourselves?
Oh yes, of course.
Now we are changing. We are going to
Now
use
we are, of course, because we're not going to be using English while you're championing local languages.
Yes, we're
going to switch. We are going to switch into the languages that you. Yes,
I'm going to plead the fifth. So I'm actually using the platform to learn the languages.
You are learning the languages as well. Okay, so have you anything that you're comfortable with? Any language that you're comfortable with locally?
Well, not enough to embarrass myself, you know. And
not enough to embarrass. I don't think you will embarrass yourself.
Are you able to greet in any of the languages at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Then the
I like the way Mulibuti has come out. Mulibuti. I think the next stage for you will be how to correctly pronounce.
The accent, yeah.
Yes. So that you integrate down to us, you know.
They don't wonder where you're from. You be saying
Yes. Because what did you say? Mulibuti.
Okay.
But anyway, brilliant stuff.
Interesting. That's a good initiative, and we hope many people will be assisted. And it's a good initiative. I understand that, for instance, the Kiswahili and the other languages in Africa are being propelled, but we haven't seen Zambia taking such a proactive role to ensure that local languages are equally shared elsewhere. Now, how are you making sure that this is also part of cultural preservation in Zambia? What critical institutions are you working with, or are you targeting to work with? Because I understand that we have institutions like the National Heritage Conservation Commission who would be keen to support such an initiative, as well as traditional leaders in the country. How do you intend to integrate this so that it can sink into the Zambian society, as well as where you want to share this platform with others who want to learn the local languages?
In fact, that's a good question, because it brings us to why we are, actually putting the symposium together. The symposium that will be taking place on the 30th and 31st of 31st of March and 1st of April, which
just
is
3 days.
It's just a week away.
Okay.
Yeah. So the symposium will bring people from different sectors to discuss the whole aspect of language and the gaps that are in languages, and how we can help narrow those gaps and be able to give access to a wide spectrum of people to learn the languages that we are offering, the sub-Saharan languages that we are offering. And so this symposium is really targeting to really meet the need that you have actually. What you said, yeah.
And I can add to that. So the symposium is actually bringing in a lot of international stakeholders. So we have representatives coming in from the United Nations. We have representatives coming in from Harvard University and other big global institutions. They all feel the gap and the need to have access to these languages. The United Nations, UNESCO initially had an international mother language day.
Yes.
So following up on that initiative with what we're taking place. You mentioned Swahili and access to the global community. It is true that in the West, perhaps you have a lot more access to Swahili.
Yes.
But statistically speaking, or just going in comparison, access to sub-Saharan African languages, including Swahili,
Exactly.
Right. And so our platform is unifying all major sub-Saharan African languages. So not only Zambian languages, we do teach Swahili, Igbo, Yoruba, Amharic.
I hope I learned that one. I hope to learn
Yoruba.
Swahili.
Nigeria.
We're talking about Swahili, so here's an interesting story. The Ministry of Tourism in Malawi says we're losing a lot of business in East Africa because our folks don't speak Swahili, can you teach Swahili?
Interesting.
Right? So there's a lot of intercontinental need as well.
Yeah, so then how can we approach this as part of the agenda for the African Union? I understand that this is equally important for regional integration, which Zambia and other countries have affirmed. We're talking about SADC. enhancing trade among SADC countries. We're talking about the African Union enhancing trade, but how important is the aspect of breaking these language barriers in order for us to ensure that we trade in harmony and be able to communicate effectively?
Oh, absolutely. Breaking the barriers is very critical, because you see, when you come into a new environment, you should be able to communicate with the locals. You know, and in fact, particularly with the medical profession.
Yes.
You know, how do you administer medicine and tell the patient how they should, you know, take the medicine if you can't really communicate to them in the language that they understand? So it really has very far-reaching benefits to be able to communicate in the local language of the people that you are dealing with. From medical, even from farming, for example, farming, they go into rural areas, you know, and then they have to be able to communicate with the locals. And even for business, generally, you know, like the bank, for example, a bank, how do you explain interest rate, you know, to a person who's deep in
it's not
Western
easy.
province?
It's not
what does
even
interest
possible.
rate mean? So when you have a language translation that people are able to handle, then you make your business very effective. So when you're talking about SADC, SADC is a wonderful regional body that has integrated business and, you know, broken down barriers. So language is one barrier that still needs to be broken down.
Interesting.
You know?
Here's a concrete example. The Office of Migration for the UN, they deal with a lot of Amharic, Somali, and Ethiopian refugees.
Yes.
And so recently they asked us to say, can you help facilitate translation and transliteration of the refugees with the local staff? This is the Zambian office. And so we brought a Somali instructor on there and, you know, said, we can do this, you know. And so that's part of the integration that you're talking about, regional and across the continent.
How many people are we looking at who are coming to this event?
The symposium.
The numbers vary. We're adding by the day. The range is a couple hundred experts, 5 to 1,000 people. This is at Mulungushi. And I do want to make mention of this. We have an opening ceremony, the symposium for a few days, but the conclusion is a benefit concert to build cultural labs in rural communities so that rural kids can connect with their Western counterparts and have that cultural exchange that you were talking about. And Bishop Benjamin Dube is the featured artist for that. And we're bringing in several additional international artists from Malawi and different local artists as well. And so it's going to crescendo and culminate in this big benefit celebration taking place on the 1st at Mulungushi as well. And so that's also a few thousand people coming in for that.
Are they paying? I think that's a bigger question. Or are they coming in for free? Yes.
Oh, they have to pay, I think, because
Fairly affordable.
If we said, very affordable. But if we said Mulungushi is free, I mean, without the whole of the Saka.
Would come.
Yeah, but for the concert, the benefit concert of Benjamin Dube, we have 750 kwacha for VIP, and then 550 premier seating, and then 350 general admission.
Okay.
You know, so.
But I'm sure you'll get the VIP seat.
You get the
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Hopefully. All right. Since we are also going to have Our Lady there in conversation with this related conversation, really, we'll have to let you off the seat. Just hold on.
Okay.
Off the seat. Then we'll allow her to come in so that we continue. Otherwise, a very fruitful conversation we've had. Brilliant stuff. Let's take a short break as we allow her to come on set.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we are still having our topic of discussion with Ubuntu Talks International. Quite interesting conversation we've had, and now in studio we've also been joined by Yvonne Sakala to help us continue where Reverend Sakala left from. She is the Director Tutor Development at Ubuntu Talks International. Yvonne, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Interesting. And we were actually we were asking the gentleman to say, what languages do you know? Do you know any languages in terms of local languages yourself?
English, local languages. Chitonga Dramba, and Tinaranda Nechiwemba Mkoi, Chichewa, Tulavira, Mwasirozi, Wakonakura Nya.
Exactly.
Before she insults us. Before she insults us, we leave it there.
Interesting.
We leave it there.
Yes, next time I hope you'll be at you'll be at our pace.
We're getting there.
We hope you too. Next time you come here, we're not using this English thing. We are not.
Yeah, we are warning you in advance.
The common one though.
Yes. We'll give you a year. So when you are coming back here, we're expecting you to speak that Tonga.
I will work on that. I will work on that. Because I'm the tutor director.
All right.
Brilliant, Sam. Tutor director, very important position, and I must say it's a huge task to teach people how to speak different languages, and especially grown-ups. You know, I'm not sure if it's true, but you will correct us. They say when a grown-up is learning a new language, it's very difficult than a child.
It is.
How do you manage to twist people's tongues into speaking these different languages?
Because So fortunately, I'm working with the tutors. So I'm directing and helping the tutors. I onboard them, make sure that they are qualified, and when they come on board, they should be able to teach from their countries. So I'm working with tutors from Kenya, from Nigeria, from Somalia. Recently, we interviewed somebody from Zimbabwe, from Shona, and the local ones, the Zambians, the Malawi ones as well. So my job is to make sure that the tutors are actually helping the people to learn. So we start first by helping them to be able to know the alphabet in that particular language, because that's how we teach how to read and write.
Yeah.
Yes. So the accents, the actual pronunciations. The local tutors are the ones who teach the people how to learn the language.
Before you became a director, really, I want to believe you were also teaching.
I'm actually a teacher by profession with 28 years of experience.
Brilliant stuff.
I've taught at Rhodes Park School, I've taught at the British School, I've taught at Sunshine School, and my last engagement was being the head of secondary at Family Legacy Mission Zambia.
Oh, here. Okay, why the interest though? Where do you draw the interest to teach these languages and to learn them, actually?
As you've heard, I'm just so interested in languages from way back. In my family, I speak more languages. I learn easily.
How many languages do you speak, roughly?
About 4 or 5, comfortably. Yes, Zambian languages.
Enough not to embarrass yourself?
But so when I visit a country, like when I would visit my relatives in Zimbabwe, I started learning how to speak Shona just by staying there for 2 weeks or so. So when I heard about Ubuntu Talks, I mean, that's apart from loving to teach children and having a heart for children, I love to learn languages.
You have a lot of patience.
First of all, let's look at the importance of this language aspect, because Zambia is quite has a number of languages, and how important that we preserve them, because our children, most of the times we are teaching our children to just learn English, and we are not doing enough to ensure that they learn the local language. How important that we preserve our local languages?
It's very, very important, because you see, children will be able to associate what they speak with their culture. So when we do teach even the languages online, we actually teach a bit of the culture, because language and culture goes together. So you can't teach a person the Tonga language without telling them what the culture is about. So when I teach, I'm actually the Tonga instructor.
Brilliant.
If you go to ubuntutalks.com and look for the Tonga instructor you want to learn, I will actually give you a free 30 minutes trial. You can sign up, even today. You can prove it. And some people have tried to say, is this legit? So they go there, they book a class because the times that I teach are there, and they find me there, ready to teach.
Oh.
Yes, we do have a program actually for children, because I've taught a child from the US. During their summer break, yes, I've taught Luyando. She's never been to Zambia. She was born in the US, had no trace. But by the time we were done, she was able to read and count in Tonga, sing some Tonga songs, which I taught her. And we even developed a bond because, yeah.
It's a good program.
It's interesting. I think the government has made some headway because now the children are writing exams in Chinyanja, depending on which province they are. So we have Chinyanja, grade 7 level. Yes. Tonga, yes. Chibemba. Yeah, so we're also targeting the major 7 languages. We can't teach all the 72, you know.
No, I know.
No.
Yeah.
So the major
7.
Because when you're in Northwestern Province, you can be able at least, you know, to communicate. You know, yes, the major one there. Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Wow, I'm interested really because. What language am I comfortable to speak? without being embarrassed, Patrick.
I only know of this Nyanja we have invented in town.
In town, you know,
yes.
the Chewa. I think
the mix of Ngoni, Chewa, Bemba. This is the one. That's the one we use here.
Before we come to the actual events that you're holding, briefly they've been talked about, but you will also delve into. Probably a more deeper conversation under a minute or two on what your role is with that event. I want to understand how you do it in terms of payments. People, when they come on the platform, do they subscribe monthly, weekly, or do they pay there and then, or how do you have packages? How do you do it?
So the lessons are 22. When a person comes online, so even those who have who want to teach. Actually, when you go to the platform, you have learn the language or apply to teach. So when you apply to learn, you are guided on how you are going to subscribe. So you just click the buttons, you're given information, subscribe for which language, and you can actually choose your tutor because it says, you know, view the tutors that are there for whichever language that you want. And then the prices are there as well. And so as you sign up online, it's actually online. Everything is done online. And then, you know, you will get an email to verify which times that you'll be able to teach and then how you meet your tutor. So everything is done online.
With just about a week to go, how has been the response so far in terms of the delegates? Are you meeting your targets?
So the response has been great. There's a lot of international support for this evening. The Global Director of Youth for the United Nations is one of our speakers, for instance.
Interesting.
Because the United Nations is very interested in this initiative and how we can work with us to propagate the expansion of sub-Saharan African languages, Zambian languages, locally. We're also working with UNESCO, and they're sending some representatives. And so in terms of delegates, local ministers, some of whom I can't quite disclose yet, but we have a lot of support from the government as well coming in. And so far, so good. Very, very positive response. I think people appreciate the initiative and they see the vision. Almost everyone can touch on one facet of what we're doing in one way or another.
Interesting.
Indeed, I am touched as well. I'm one of them. I understand the vision. I'm interested in the vision. Yeah. So, if Yvonne, yes. Tell us about your role on this 3 days event.
Okay, so I'm looking especially towards the concert. I know they mentioned, but I'd just like to re-echo that we have a concert on the 1st of April. My role is to make sure that everybody is comfortable and everybody enjoys the day. We are bringing in Bishop Benjamin Dube, and I think the tiers have been talked about, the amounts. We want everybody to come in numbers and support us. So like we're talking about learning language, as the tutor director, I have a great vision for the children. So I would like to do exchange programs.
Okay.
So we want to raise enough money so that a child in Ngombe or Garden Compound is exposed to the computer and learns Kiswahili. And we find sponsors to take the children to Kenya because we know that their parents maybe in the next 5 or so years may not be able to make it because they are maybe house helps or gardeners, you know. But we give them that opportunity through Ubuntu. First of all, to learn how to use a computer and also to be able to learn the language, you know, virtually, and then visit Kenya and go to the market and speak the language, because that's what it is. You know, as a teacher, we don't teach for you to just have information
and sit on it.
No. That's why you have become what you are today. Because you learned it. You were trained. So after they have done that, you know, training and learned the language online, we want them to be able to experience it. You know, learning is about experiencing what you've learned. That's when it makes a lot of sense. So we want them to go there. And also we want the children in Kenya to learn Chinyanja,
Soweto,
Soweto market, Bungena, all the experiences.
Yes.
Can you just imagine? Just picture that.
It will be amazing.
When I think about that, I get excited.
Yes.
You know, so that is my dream. I've extended it from the 3 days.
Interesting.
But so, I want people to come so that some of that money we can be able to use, you know, for that purpose.
Do you have offices here? Are we looking at you probably opening up labs that will allow this?
Yes. So, but we want to work in the schools. So we're a virtual platform.
Okay.
We really don't want to have offices, but we're working towards something. So we want to be able to go to the schools because we're virtual, you know. We want to promote that.
Nice.
Yes.
I'm particularly very
your
interested.
concluding remarks before we let you, we start with you, sir.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. For us in the West, you know, getting access. You know, I was listening to a program recently. This was at a major U.S. university. So a guy went around the campus saying, name 2 countries in Africa that start with Z. So 90% of people said Zimbabwe.
Yes, I saw it.
Zambia. You saw it.
Yeah, I saw it.
So I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is important, right? So I think we have to put Zambia on the map.
Yes.
You know, this is a land of plenty. You know, it's land that shines. We need to put it on the map. And so, because of COVID, this is the silver lining.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID in academia, which is my background, you know, as a dean, prior to COVID, using virtual platforms was not quite adopted. But COVID forced the entire globe to say, let's look at this platform, this prism, this model. And so at the time at which COVID is happening is at the time at which Ubuntu is emerging now as a company. And so given where we are, there's a lot of, you know, the platform has been adopted, and now we can virtually teach these languages. And so I think we're collectively, Ubuntu means we're community 101. So it's not about us and our staff, it's about us collectively contributing our ideas to this vision that we have to elevate Zambians and Africans to be on par with the rest of the world, so that when a foreigner comes in, they don't ask, do you speak English? They can speak to the native in their language. That way we're all equal, we all respect each other and each other's cultures as well.
Interesting. Yvonne.
So when people come to Zambia, like my CEO has said, they're supposed to learn the language. And when we go that side, then we can learn English and be able to speak English.
Because you've been learning since childhood, right?
Exactly. So we need, like he said, we just want to put Zambia on the map. Zambia is a beautiful country, and we are very warm people, and our languages are also warm. Our culture is beautiful. We shouldn't shy away from it. You know, when I was teaching, like in class, I would encourage the children to even just learn how to greet, because you find they want to be associated to, I was born in this other country, I was born in this other country, and they'll sort of promote that with their friends and make others who were born here feel inferior.
Yes.
And I would tell them, no, actually, you are Zambian. Love being a Zambian. This is a beautiful place, you know. And our education structure actually and system is very, very good. Yeah. So we want to promote our nation. We want Zambia to be known, so people can even know where it's. And that's what we do when we start the first lesson. We show the map of Zambia.
Yeah, the boundaries. They should know.
The Africa and where Zambia is.
Yes.
Because I'm teaching Tonga, so I'll show them Zambia. The one who is teaching Kiswahili will show them where Kenya is.
Yes.
And begin to talk about the languages and things like that.
Brilliant stuff. Interesting. I'm very excited about this.
So the website is simple. It's ubuntutalks.com. right? talkswithan.com. And so visit the site. There's a lot of information on there.
Yeah.
And let's keep this dialogue going.
Yeah, indeed. I'm interested. The Tonga part. I'm giving you 1 year. The next time you come here, you should be very fluent in Tonga. You cannot be seated to somebody teaching Tonga and then you are blank. And then you come here and say Molibote.
No, it's true. But there's hundreds of languages I'm trying to learn.
No. But first, Tonga. First things first. Let's do the Tonga first, and then we'll move to the next. Indeed. All right, you've been watching a conversation with Ubuntu Talks representative, and we're very excited about what they're bringing on the table. You too can actually visit their website and get to understand what they're doing. They will be holding a 3-day event, and we surely hope that you will check to Mulungushi International Conference Center. Go to their website now and understand exactly what this thing is about. I'm excited, and I surely hope that you are as well. Just visit their website and see what you can do to contribute and be part of this important event. For now though, let's take a break as we usher them out. Good morning.
Cabbages, onions, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, chilies. At Rainglow, we supply great quality irrigation for the mentioned crops and more at an affordable price. Get our 2,000 meter flat drip for as low as 2,900 kwacha, or our 500 meter round hose for 1,300 kwacha. Customize your own spacing with our 500 meter blank round hose going for 1,200 kwacha, ideal for orchards such as avocado, mango, banana, oranges, etc. Rainglow Irrigation, best quality, best price.
All right, still watching the Camnet breakfast, and we've been in conversation with Ubuntu Talks. Quite very interesting people, Patrick, championing a very good agenda, especially that we are too modernized. We are a modernized society that we actually don't even speak our local languages. It's
yeah, quite like, interesting. I hope Chimwemu has to learn some of these languages.
He always has a challenge whenever he's given Nyanja homework. He come with a long face to say, but this is Chinyanja.
Yeah, so we have to change that.
You remember I called you that time for the homework?
Yes, I remember. Now you have to
literally the whole house
getting into research now. Yeah, so now, yeah, actually the event they have also indicated where you can get the tickets in case you want to just be part of that event. That's at Compute Tickets, and it is found in every ShopRite outlet. And 5FM, you can get your tickets there. Radio Christian Voice, as well as through Image Promotions, and the number that you are expected to call is 0977-857754, 0977-857754, and 0976-962616. Those are the numbers you can call in case you want to get yourself a ticket and participate in the Ubuntu Talks International Symposium that they'll be hosting at the Mulungushi International Conference Center. You just have to be part of this interesting event.
Indeed, Patrick. Let's look at the stories that we were in as of yesterday. Indeed, it was Environmental Day. Patrick, you covered one of the events.
Yes, we are quite interesting. We had the Environment Day, and an interesting story there also from the Ministry of Green Economy, where to just reflect on Forest Day, rather.
Oh, Forest Day.
So it's just to reflect about the importance of forests. As you know, that Zambia loses about 300,000 of forest hectares cover annually. So this statistic has been with us for a long time, we do not seem to change the pattern in terms of our behavior.
It might have been increased, Patrick, because this stat is according to a forest report that was, I think, of 2014. So we haven't really updated. Now you can imagine all these years, and with a lot of charcoal burning that goes on in the country, especially when there's a lot of load shedding. You have increased demand of charcoal. We haven't even reached a level where we look at other alternatives as much as we do charcoal when we don't have other sources of energy like electricity. You know, the first thing that comes to our mind is amalasha. You know, if you go to these houses, Patrick, including mine, you will see that each house, you know, that's how much we rely on this source of energy to do whatever we want to do in place of electricity. So we continue to lose forest in terms of trees and other related things because we don't have so much, what am I even saying? Because I'm being disturbed.
Let's get to play these two stories on the environment, on climate change, and we'll be back on the other side.
According to the Forest Policy of 2014, research indicates that Zambia faces a number of challenges in conserving and managing forests. The rate of deforestation currently is estimated to be between 250,000 to 300,000 hectares per year, making it one of the highest deforestation rates in the world. In a bid to curb deforestation and climate change, Zambia Tuesday 21st March 2023, during the commemoration of World Forest Day, has launched the African Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative, AFRI100, a country-led effort to bring 100 million hectares of land in Africa into restoration by 2030. Speaking at the event, Minister of Green Economy and Environment Collins Nzovu has expressed concern over the increase in the deforestation rates in the country.
Zambia faces a number of challenges in conserving and managing the forests, with the rate of deforestation estimated at between 250 and 300,000 hectares per year, as reported by the Forest Policy of 2014, making it one of the highest deforestation rates in the world. And my call to you, my reminder is that we've been at this for a long time. we've measured the rate of deforestation for a long time. Let's now concentrate on measuring the rate of afforestation and reforestation. How many trees are we planting each year? And indeed, again, I'll come back to this, that a lot of us, even in this room, are always singing about how many trees they are going to plant.
Mr. Nzovu says that despite knowing that one of the causes of climate change is deforestation, people are still cutting down trees illegally. He has also urged the general public and various stakeholders to desist from activities that are endangering the environment, further encouraging them to consider planting trees when they can in order to complement government efforts.
Therefore, there is need for all of us to promote sustainable forest management to ensure the green economy and socio-economic development. My ministry is also cognizant of the fact that necessary measures should be put in place to actualize this year's theme dubbed Forests and Health. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is worth noting that health forests protect us from diseases. Forests have traditionally served as a natural barrier to disease transmission between animals and humans. But as deforestation continues, the risk of diseases spilling over from animals to people is rising.
Also speaking at the same event, UN Resident Coordinator Beatrice Mutali notes that forests have enormous benefits for health and livelihoods, further stating that the future of generations to come depends on forests, hence the need to preserve them.
To the effects of climate change, let us remember that with 13 billion tons of carbon being in trees and the soil, caring for our forests is one of the most effective ways to address the climate crisis. Forests are invaluable in protecting people and the planet towards a sustainable future. Let me conclude by underscoring the commitment of the United Nations system in supporting Zambia's development in line with the aspirations of the government and the people of Zambia, as contained in the 8th National Development Plan. UN support from this year until 2027 will be delivered through the Zambia United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework.
Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Forest and health is the theme for the 21st March 2023 World Forest Day. Zambia has joined the global community in marking the day by reflecting on the importance of forests in supporting life and development. The media network Action on Climate Change, in partnership with CrossPark, reflected on Forest Day by underscoring the need for sustainable catchment management. Environmentalist Robert Chimambo attributed the negative effects of climate change, such as flooding and droughts, to lack of consideration to the ecosystem in the development process.
For the last 14 years, water has been contaminated with fecal matter. In other words, what we're going to put aside, we have put together fecal matter, and that is what is causing all this coil business. But what the bigger picture, what is causing it is that the issue of planning Lusaka water management has been thrown overboard. So that is where we are now. These are things that haven't started now. These are legacy issues.
Meanwhile, a hydrologist, Happy Sikazwe, who is also a consultant for CrossPark, says consideration of the national land use policy in the country's planning and development can also help to mitigate the negative effects of climate change.
The groundwater quality has also deteriorated due to domestic and industrial pollution. Because of deforestation and burning of trees and grass, water seepage of surface water into the aquifers has tremendously reduced, leading to groundwater shortage. Our animal population has also reduced owing to inadequate pasture coupled with illegal poaching. This is a major concern to every riparian, and measures to reduce degradation of our environment in the catchments should be instituted.
And Media Network Action on Climate Change Programs Manager Bruce Mwale has called on the government to stiffen the implementation of laws which are aimed at protecting the forests in the country.
Our message as we celebrate the World Forest Day, our call is for government ministries, the Ministry of Lands and Green Economy, to stiffen implementation of laws which protects our forests. In the same breath, we urge the civil society organizations and environmentalists like Mr. Shimambo and stakeholders like Crosspack to speak with one voice regarding the acts that would protect our forests.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Interesting. There are quite interesting stories there we're looking at from World Forest Day that was yesterday, 21st March 2023. This is quite an important day in terms of when it comes to the environmental sector in as far as conservation is concerned, and we hope you do recognize this important day. You can equally be taking initiatives like planting a tree at your backyard. It is important, and if we are to survive, we need to make sure that we do a mixture of those exotic trees as well as planting trees that are able to give us fruits. It is quite important that they can provide food when need arises. I remember we were eating masuk with Sharon almost on a daily basis.
If we could gain weight using masuku,
you would do that. You would be amongst
those beneficiaries. Otherwise, we really enjoyed the season.
Yes,
and we take advantage of every season to maximize on whatever is there and enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah, so we have to make sure that we try by all means to ensure that we plant trees, we participate in afforestation, and make sure that we just play a part in terms of conserving our forests. We see every time around Madam Sharon wants to build a house, she has to cut down all the trees, everything. Even where she's not putting up a structure.
You clear everything and you put up those flat stones. I was just talking about one of the schools where my son goes. They had a bit of grass somewhere, and a few weeks ago I saw them remove all the grass and put those pavers. I was like, okay, what are they doing? You know, sometimes you just need for that natural green.
Yes, you have to make a balance.
Just regardless whether it's this modern grass, as long as it's just soil and the green part, I think it's better that way than putting everything into paved. You know, it's easier, yes, for maintenance, for cleanliness, but I mean, let's also look at the broader picture here. And this issue of deforestation, afforestation, environment. We had a conversation with our colleagues, Bruce and Mr. Kennedy Piri from a network that champions the environment, climate change issues, and these are journalists. We are very excited that they're beginning to branch off and think outside the box to start championing different things. You know what really struck me up to today was the question I asked to say, aren't we late in terms of championing this agenda of climate change? And then he said, you know, of course we are a bit late, but we cannot just let it be simply because we are late. We need to keep on trying to champion this agenda and hopefully reverse the damage that has been caused. And a lot of people are beginning to realize, and different organizations are beginning to champion this agenda by encouraging people, especially those in rural areas, to plant trees and reforestate, put back those things that they're removing from this natural habitation for animals. Animals have even run away from some of these areas.
So these are the problems we're
maybe
facing. That's
why even the elephant was moving away from Kalomo there in Southern
we're
province.
disturbing the environment.
We're disturbing the environment, you know, where they are supposed to be. So let us leave this some of these areas. Maybe we should start thinking outside the box, because there's a lot of urbanization, there's a lot of population growth, there's a lot of demand for land. I think that's why we are beginning to see people encroach in reserve areas, forest reserve areas. But then maybe we should go the China, Indian way, where we stay on top of your house. you sell the land to someone, and they build their house, you know, where we have story houses and different people own different floors and stages of that building.
That's the only way to go.
That's
You just can't be going flat out.
Because we can't be going flat out. We are destroying the environment. We need to go green and try to look at ways in which we can still survive and maintain this natural habitation for animals and the likes. That, you know, we always go at safari, shani. Are we ever going to do that if we continue cutting these trees? We're not going to do that.
Our children won't even be have a privilege of seeing
actually have these things
an
in
elephant in their country. So if we continue cutting down trees, destroying forests, infringing on the habitats of animals, it is going to be, we'll continue facing this human-animal conflict that is never ending, because you see these animals have been there. We are following them to their territories.
Yes, we're following them to their territory.
What do you expect?
They'll start attacking us, and you know, all this back and forth. We'll kill them and enjoy the beef. The way I heard that Barichita Sampo, the elephant that was killed, I'm telling you, by the time people were going there, it was just carcass. People had ripped off the steak from the animal, poor animal, you know, because it had eaten some of their crops. And they said, we will punish you. You are going straight to heaven, you know. And the elephant was killed. So yeah, let us look at other things, starting from our homes. Let's try to maintain a green environment. Just plant a bit of flowers here and there, though I'm allergic to most of the flowers. But we can do that. We can do that.
Well, this is the time we have to say bye-bye until we come tomorrow with another interesting episode of the Camnet Breakfast Show, Thursday edition, governance and policy as well as politics.
Indeed. My name is Sharon Kalimbula, and Patrick Soko on the other chair. Join us again tomorrow, obviously with the guest, and we will be discussing various issues affecting our economy and trying to find solutions on these. Hopefully, we will be able to even post the topic for tomorrow so that people can understand and call us so that we can have a fruitful conversation. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. Good morning.